Always good to catch up with this next guest. John Rich is known to all country music fans, really all music fans around the United States of America and around the globe. He is also a great patriot, a great American, and he has a wonderful show that is coming back to Fox Business tomorrow night, it's my understanding. It is called The Pursuit with John Rich, and he joins us to talk about it on The Murphy Show today. What is up, John?
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having me on, brother.
And it's my pleasure. Thanks for making some time with us. I know you're talking a lot about the new season and the new episodes of The Pursuit on Fox Business. I mean, talk to me about this. I mean, this thing was hot, and then it went away for a minute, and it's back. Do I have this right?
Yeah. It's been kind of coming on, and then they take a break, and then a few more episodes, and they take a break for the last 2 or 3 years. But it's called The Pursuit. And it's a show that I created the concept for based on the simple fact that we don't have the right to be happy in America. We have the right to pursue happiness in America. And so I wanted to find people who had pursued happiness in this country and pursued it greatly and sit them down and get the real stories behind what all they've had to go through to get to where they are. And so it's like a 30-minute episode per guest, easy to watch, totally positive, which I think we need right now with everything going on. Like, unplug for a minute and watch something positive about the country. And, man, it's some pretty crazy guests. It's like Tim Tebow, Wolfgang Puck. Wait till you hear Wolfgang Puck's story. Wolfgang Puck, as a young boy, was basically an orphan in Austria and contemplated jumping off a bridge, was going to kill himself at about 12 years old, and then he got a job working in the basement of a kitchen peeling vegetables. And then he saved up his money so he could get a ticket to America, came to America, became a citizen, and then the rest is history. It's Wolfgang Puck. So there's all these stories that are incredible that people don't really know that I've been able to put a spotlight on. So that is what The Pursuit is. It's Saturday night, 8 Eastern, 7 Central.
You know, for me, and I don't know if this was in your mind developing the concept or not, but obviously the pursuit of happiness that we all know from the Declaration of Independence. But it also, there's a commonality no matter where people come from. Successful people always have this internal drive. They have something about them. It could come from many different places, but whether it's, I know you've talked to the late great Charlie Daniels on the show. You've talked to Richard Petty on the show. You've talked to so many different figures from different backgrounds. And you yourself, John, are an example of this, that if you have that internal fire, that internal drive to make a difference in your own life and by extension in the lives of others, you can overcome just about anything.
That's very true. And I think as Americans, sometimes we take it for granted that in the Declaration of Independence, it calls life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness inalienable rights, meaning you were born with these rights. The government didn't give them to you, and the government can't take them away. Well, we're very unique that our country puts it that way. That's how they tell us to live our lives. And that's the reason why everybody on the planet is lined up at our back door and has been forever trying to get in here. They want a shot at exhausting their potential, but we're born with it. We live here. And so it's always been me. Listen, I'm nothing fancy, high school diploma, nothing big in my background. But I was raised being told all the time by veterans in my family, by my dad, hey, John, if you think big enough and you work really hard, man, you just never know what might happen. So go out there and get them. That's always been my attitude. That's how I raise my boys. This is America. It doesn't mean you're going to get it. The word pursuit, the definition of that word means to be in motion. And that means that happiness must be a moving target, Matt, because it's not sitting still in the corner just waiting on you to walk up. You got to chase it down. And a lot of times happiness is a changing definition for all of us, decade by decade. I know it is for me. And so it's a constant pursuit. And whether you ultimately get everything you want is not the point. It's the fact that you have a right to go after it.
One of my favorite quotes, outside of biblical quotes and some other types of things like that, one of my favorite quotes is from Samuel Beckett. He said, "Ever tried, ever fail, try again, fail better." And the point is, it doesn't mean just because you've tried and you failed and you try again, that doesn't mean you're going to succeed the second time or the third time or the fourth time. It just means that you pursue being better in whatever you happen to be doing, which is part of what I love about the show, because it really does encapsulate that concept, and it brings it home to the United States of America and reminds people that we have that opportunity in this country, unlike others. And John, I got to ask you, considering what's going on, I mean, sometimes I'm naturally a pessimist and I have to fight against it. Sometimes I look around and I see what's going on college campuses and all of that, and I just get so pessimistic and I shake my head. And then I see what happened in North Carolina, and I know you saw it because I know what you proposed, brother. And congratulations to you in what you are planning on doing for those students out in North Carolina. I'm talking about those that protected Old Glory herself.
Yeah, the boys at UNC. So when I saw the image of those frat boys holding up the American flag and not letting it hit the ground, the first thing I thought was, well, somebody raised them right, because when I was a boy, I was told, hey, John, don't ever let the United States flag touch the ground under any circumstances. Never let it touch the ground. It's the biggest disrespect you could ever show for the flag. And you grow up knowing that. I went, well, these boys obviously know that, because they were holding it up off the ground while being pelted with rocks and sticks and water bottles and cans and all kinds of stuff. And they didn't throw them back. They just stood there and took it and made sure the flag didn't hit the ground. I was so blown away by that. I just went on Twitter, X. I didn't know how to find them. I said, hey, if anybody knows how to find these guys, tell them I'll play a free concert for them when they have their big party to celebrate the flag and freedom. And man, it went absolutely crazy after that. My phone has been blowing up for 36 hours now. I've had all kinds of artists hitting me up saying, hey, when you guys get a date for that show, count me in. Lee Greenwood texted me and said, you think they'd want to hear God Bless the USA at that event? I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure they'd want to hear that, Lee Greenwood.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Absolutely.
I got a message from the leader of Bikers for Trump in North Carolina, and he said, hey, John, I hope you book a very big arena, because we're all coming to this event whenever you decide is the date. So I think it's going to turn into a massive celebration of freedom and the flag and patriotism. We're going to call it Flag Stock, which I think is the perfect name for something like this, and I hope that it inspires other campuses to take that and do their own event. They should do pro-America events all around the country, and I really feel that may happen.
Oh, absolutely. Flagstock is a perfect name, obviously, and what a great way to show. I mean, and I know this is probably, I don't know, I don't want to presume what you were thinking when you tweeted out and said, hey, these guys, anytime you want a concert with John Rich, I'm there. But what a great way to demonstrate how many good people we have across this country. Sometimes I get caught up in it. You know, it's what I do for a living, John. When you're watching the news, you can kind of get a little down on this country, but things like what happened in North Carolina, your response and what you inspired in other people reminds me that most of America is still great. Most of Americans, they still get it. They understand that we live in the greatest country on God's green earth.
I think that's a fact, actually. I think the reason we come to the conclusion that, wow, America's youth is completely shot. They're totally gone. We have no future. Look at America's youth. I think that's because America's youth that gets on television are the ones that are doing the stuff like this on the campuses. But for every one of them, there are multiples of them around the country that are just working hard, studying hard. They have an American dream too. They want to build a family too. They want to go out and build on what their family has already built for them. And so they don't really cause trouble. They don't wind up on TV. They don't go on social media and post stupid things. They just go to work. And I really think that's the vast majority of them. And seeing those boys at UNC do that really lit a fire in me that, man, this is a flame that needs to be kindled. We need to encourage people to have courage. It's the one trait right now that every American needs to find, and that is courage. The opposition has plenty of courage, and what they're fighting for is terrible. I mean, they're so convicted about what they're pushing. They're willing to stand out there, get arrested, dragged off campuses. Okay, so where's the other side of that? Where's our side? Where's the American side? Where's the hardworking, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness side of this equation? I want everybody to adopt that mantra. You're going to have courage. We're going to stand up. You don't have to do anything crazy. You can just stand out there and sing. And when a bunch of Americans all get together and sing the national anthem at the base of a flag, it's really tough for those protesters to do anything about it.
Amen. You know, I told Bel Kay, my producer, that I was going to pick on you when I got you on and tell you that you now have the my second favorite show on Fox Business. And it's it's only behind Kelsey Grammer's Historic Battles for America.
That's a great one. I love that show.
Absolutely fab. And I was watching it the other night, and it's top of mind. And I was watching the courage during the American Revolution of these patriots that stood up for what they believed in and stood up for freedom and liberty. And it reminded me that we need those patriots now more than ever. You're one of those patriots, John Rich. I know that time is very precious to you, especially today, as you talk about the relaunch of The Pursuit with John Rich on Fox Business. And you know how much I value everything that you do, not only in Nashville, not only in Tennessee, but across the United States and around the world.
Well, I appreciate it. I will draw one line to what you just said when you talk about historic battles. So when I saw those boys at UNC keeping the flag from hitting the ground, it reminded me of a story in history at Fort McHenry. So this is when the entire British Navy showed up, all of them, and they all turned broadside and started launching cannonballs, every single one that they had at Fort McHenry. They were trying to end the end the War of 1812 right then. This was in 1814. And this is where Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. And when it says, "And our flag was still there," the only reason the American flag could still be seen is because it was propped up with the dead bodies of patriots that had been killed in that battle. And when the whole thing was done and they went through Fort McHenry to gather up all the dead bodies, the historical account of that is it was a pile. I don't know how many it was. It was a lot. They were taking the dead soldiers and they would push them up and up against that flagpole to make sure it did not touch the ground and It did not fall. So when I saw those boys doing that, even though they weren't in a battle necessarily, to me it tapped back into that original patriot fire that our founders and ones after them had. And now it's our turn. It's our turn to tap back into that and not back up. Matter of fact, step forward. Forget about not backing up. How about step forward? Step forward, be counted, be heard. And I'm telling you right now, the opposition will not know what to do if that happens.
And I remind people, and I know you already know this, John, the last line of the lyrics of the Star-Spangled Banner, which was originally a poem, it's a question. It's not a statement. It's a question. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? And it's a question that has to be answered every day, every moment of our lives. We have to protect those freedoms. Otherwise, we lose them.
That is a powerful point. I'm glad you made that. You're exactly right. So God bless them and everybody else out there. This is going to be a wild year, but you need to stand your ground. And if you've got enough nerve in you, even step forward.
Yes, sir.
I think that's how we turn the tide.
Well, you're the tip of that spear, brother. We appreciate you, appreciate The Pursuit on Fox Business and everything else that you're doing, and we'll talk to you again soon, John. Take good care, man.
Thanks, man. Have a great day.
All right, you too. There's John Rich. Oh, sorry, your light was on. Did you have a question for John?
Yeah,
I was all in the moment.
Scott Pressler had expressed interest in doing a voter registration drive at that show. And I was wanting to find out if he had had any conversations with them about setting that
My
up.
apologies. I just noticed your light was on. I'm sorry. Belle, I apologize.
But that's okay. Next time I'll just interrupt and I'll be like, fix your camera.
Here's the deal. I got his digits, so we're all good. We'll work that out. I mean, you got Pressler. I mean, you long hair stick together, right?
Absolutely. I see him at the union meetings all the time.
No, but Scott, for those who don't know, Scott Pressler, known as the Persistence online, wants to do a voter registration deal at the event. He's what we're calling it Flagstock.
Flagstock, yeah. He's basically a GOP activist, but his focus is on voter registration to get as many conservatives and Republicans, because they are different, registered to vote that aren't registered.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. And we've had Scott Pressler on the show before, and we'll do it again very soon.